In the late 1990s, Pokémon took over the world as the ultimate family-friendly franchise. Tucked away in that original 151 lineup was Hypno, a psychic type that mostly looked like a guy in a yellow suit carrying a simple pendulum. Today, that yellow suit occupies a bizarrely split reality. Ask a competitive player, and they'll tell you Hypno is a numerical failure. But ask anyone immersed in internet culture, and they know Hypno as a nightmare-inducing entity. How exactly does a character discarded by the competitive community become one of the franchise's most enduring legends? A character's legacy exists in two completely separate dimensions: the rigid, unforgiving code of game mechanics and the psychological grip of community lore. For the first 3 generations of competitive Pokémon, Hypno ruled its tier as an elite defensive wall. In early generations, that 115 special defense stat was a massive pillar, combined with Wish to heal itself and teammates. Because of this extreme distribution, attacks from dangerous threats like Charizard and Mewtwo bounced right off it. Then came Generation 5, and the math stopped working in Hypno's favor. The baseline damage of newly introduced Pokémon began creeping upward, quickly outpacing the defensive numbers of older designs. Generation 6 delivered the final blows. Developers strengthened Knockoff, an attack that destroyed the passive healing items Hypno relied on to survive. Then came Regenerator, an ability allowing certain Pokémon to heal automatically by switching out of battle. Healing with Wish costs 2 turns, forcing Hypno to sit through a round of damage while it waits for a recovery that a Pokémon like Audino gets for free just by leaving the field. Players abandoned the manual method entirely. Hypno plummeted to untiered status, the absolute bottom of competitive rankings, where it sat unused for 3 consecutive generations. In a purely numbers-driven environment, sentimentality doesn't save you. Failing to adapt to systemic mechanical efficiency results in being left behind by the ecosystem. But right as the competitive scene abandoned it, Hypno found an entirely new life online. The spark didn't come from fans, but from the developers themselves, buried in Pokémon Fire Red's text. The official in-game encyclopedia reads, "There once was an incident in which it took away a child it hypnotized in the berry forest." That officially sanctioned sentence arrived alongside the early 2010s creepypasta horror movement. Fans seized the prompt and expanded the lore, writing stories and producing a viral, haunting track called Hypno's Lullaby that depicted the psychic type actively leading children deep into the woods. Financial markets reflect this infamy. The price for a vintage Aquapolis print of Hypno, featuring a notoriously eerie illustration, spiked to nearly $230. The community effectively redefined the character, replacing a failed competitive asset with a lasting horror icon. Game Freak dropped the character's mechanical viability, but unintentionally granted it eternal relevance through its lore. Stats, tier lists, and damage thresholds are temporary. They get patched, nerfed, or outclassed with every new release. A character's ultimate legacy doesn't come from its win rate or optimal moveset. It comes from the psychological footprint it leaves on the audience. The code may have sidelined Hypno on the competitive battlefield, but the culture ensured it will live forever in our nightmares.